Hey guys, in this video I just want to talk a little bit about the UN, because I saw a video recently about how African countries are seeking help from the United Nations to silence the guns. I have a problem with that, because the UN, they're the perpetrators of violence. The UN, who funds the UN? Where do you think the funding comes from? It's not from African countries. It's from the top countries. It's from countries like France, countries like America. So whoever pays the piper rules. So the UN, look, listen to the Congolese. The Congolese don't even want the UN in their country. So the UN is not the answer. Here is the answer. I've lived abroad for a long time. And I tell you what, and I've seen what happens in the other countries. I've seen what happens in Europe. I've seen what happens in America. And I spend time, I invest my own time into this, trying to figure out how people react. When the economies are doing well in these countries, everything is peaceful. There's some extremist group and all that stuff, but majority of people, everything is good. Everyone is laughing because everyone is making money. The moment the economy starts doing badly, it's the locals against the foreigners. That's how it starts. Why am I saying this? The reason why I'm saying this, if you want to silence the guns in Africa, give employment to the people. Because we know how violence starts. I'll take an example of what's happening in Mozambique. So they had floods, I think in 2016, 2017. In this small area, there's about 300,000 people in this area, I think. They had floods. Everyone got evacuated. When the water subsided, they found out that place was rich in gas. Filthy rich in gas. Right? America and China start fighting to put up a gas plant in Mozambique. Finally, I think America wins. A French company goes in as well. But this is what I've noticed. I've lived in Australia for some time, and I tell you what, Aboriginal people in Australia get more money for their land than Africans get in Africa. Why am I saying this? There's a place called Barrow Island in Australia. There's the same thing, gas project, offshore actually. But a lot of things were set up on this island. It's an Aboriginal island. They paid the money, and they had to make sure that they didn't leave a sort of a damaging footprint on this island. So everything is protected. They offered money, which goes into like a trust fund for them, billions of dollars. But on top of that, it created employment, not just for the local people, but for the people in WA and Australia wide. These people were getting paid. You could be a cleaner at this place and you'll be making $250,000. But let's flip the coin. That's some gas project, put it in Africa. It doesn't benefit the local people. So then the local people get smart. The same thing. You put up like even just a lodge. You put up a lodge. The animals have to be looked after. The environment has to be looked after. But ultimately it doesn't benefit people. Look what's happening in Botswana. How they've changed their tourism there and conservation. The people are involved. And today Botswana is even struggling with the number of animals because people are benefiting from tourism. So there's no poachers. Everyone is trying to solve it because it makes more sense for you to look after the animal than kill them. And the villagers know this. The only reason why poaching starts is when people see there's a lodge or there's a mine, there's some sort of rich natural resource that's going on, but only the foreigners are coming in and taking all this stuff and are driving fancy cars, and the few politicians are showing up, and whereas the majority of the people are not benefiting it. So let's take an example of Mozambique. Right? I know you're saying insurgents. We have to be very careful. Who are the insurgents here? Is it the people trying to take the gas from the local people? And the local people standing up saying this is our gas and we need to benefit from it? Who's the insurgent? And this is what we have to look at. Because I'll give you an example. The billions of gas that are in this area, if the politicians, and even I don't even mind. We can have the local investors and we can have foreign investors. But if their first goal was to go there and train up, if there's 300,000 people living in this community, I can imagine a greater chance of that there'll be young kids. If you look at the population of Africans these days, and there'll be older people who are looking for work. You start with that group. Start building, start constructing roads, start constructing better schools. This is just your initial investment, so that people know before you even start working on the gas. Start putting up trade schools, everything to do with gas production. Everything to do. Start teaching those people there. Let them have that priority of education. When you start constructing things, people see and people get jobs and people are well paid. The reason why I'm saying that, because people in Africa they can get paid $250,000, right? If people in Australia can get paid for a cleaner to get that kind of money, those guys can get paid that kind of money. However, due to the economics of this world, they're not going to get that much money. But what that tells you, that you're actually going to make a lot of money there because labor is so cheap. So then you have extra money to invest in infrastructure. This is where the problem is in Africa of silencing the guns. It's because the natural resources get taken and the people don't benefit. Excuse me, like I'm telling you, in Australia, Aboriginal people get more money for their land. Billions of dollars into trust fund. That supports the whole communities. In Africa, it doesn't work like that. So that's one way of silencing the guns. Have proper investment. Start investing. Whatever, let's say in the gas situation in Mozambique. Let the people see that community is starting to be lifted. School starts going in, roads starts going in before you even start taking the diesel. But the French, the Americans, the Chinese, they ain't gonna care about that. They want more profit. If they can get, $2 per 100 grams of gas, or per 100 cubic whatever meters of gas, you'd rather do if you're gonna pay $2 or pay $200 in Australia. Because at the end of the day, all these multinational companies are about profits. Right now, let's say BP is paying about $18 billion around the communities around that Gulf of Mexico. When you remember when they had that oil spill, where do you think that money is going to come from? So they have to squeeze it from people like from Ghana, from all these other places where they can get oil for cheap, and to some extent even for free. They just have to bribe the government. And this is why you see all these so-called insurgents. Most of these insurgents are just Africans trying to protect what's rightfully theirs. But I know we go, they bent this. Who bent it? Who bent it? There's a story of Mugabe, of white kids in South Africa finding out that they've discovered oil in Guinea. And then they organized to start to execute a coup in Guinea. They go to Zimbabwe trying to collect guns there, and they've even organized a guy from Jamaica who was gonna be president of Guinea. Put him there so they can be taking oil for free. Mugabe stopped them, and he found the war was going. Intercepted that. So they lost. However, I know the president of Guinea is now like African, but still people haven't really, and I know Guinea, you get more money. I think they have per capita in Africa, they are quite highly paid. But the thing is, he hasn't really gotten what they truly deserve. And this is what's bringing problems in Africa. The next thing from this, how do we silence the guys? The diaspora. I don't understand why most African government fail to take advantage of the diaspora. They consider them to be threats. That's what I've noticed, which is wrong. All these African countries have debt from China, from the US. You don't need debt. I'll give you an example. Tanzania has about what? Is it 40 million people? Tanzania probably has about 400,000 diasporans living outside Tanzania. right? This is what Cuba does. Cuba educates their doctors, and then they send these doctors to go and work in Brazil, some are even in Kenya, in a lot of countries in Europe and South America. And this is what they do. So they say, and the government helps them find these jobs. So they say, okay, you're going to pay them $4,000 a month. Out of that $4,000, the government will take $1,500. They'll give the doctor $2,500 a month. From that scheme, Cuba collects about $11 billion. $11 billion from about 50,000 doctors they have out there. $11 billion. Right? The African governments would rather go and borrow money from European governments who are going to put restrictions them, trade restrictions on them, all this stupid, rather than get the money from the diaspora. Because I tell you what, if let's say Tanzania, if the president of Tanzania traveled to meet Tanzanian diasporans, this is not just Tanzania, I can talk about Ghana, Nigeria, all these countries. I'm just giving you an example. Zambia, all these countries. If the president traveled to America, to Canada, to Europe, to Australia, and met Tanzanians and told them like what we want, if every one of you told them what you are trying to achieve, if every one of you contributed $1,000 a year for the next 5 years, we're going to be able to turn our countries around. Because if 400,000 diasporans donated $1,000, and I tell you what, if the results starts to show, some of us will even donate more. That will bring to a total of about $40 billion a year injected into a country. You're not borrowing money from foreigners. It's your own people. And then you work out the strategy of how you're going to do. Like right now, like with the gas in Mozambique, all they needed is $5 billion. And I can tell you this, there's enough Mozambicans around the world to put that $5 billion together if they only if the government actually made them part and parcel of the whole process. You're not going to silence the gangs by borrowing money outside. You're not going to silence the gangs by going for help from foreign countries. Use the diaspora. Use the diaspora. Nigeria could be collecting $100 billion every year. If they use their diaspora. Kenya, lots of money if they use their diaspora. And then we can go mining. In mining, let's make sure that every child that's born is given shares into the major mines in Africa, in that country. So that's how you kill poverty. When people see these things, there will be no militia. Most of the people that end up as militias, like you call it, are soldiers of fortune. It's because they live in a very desperate environment where there's nothing, there's no future, they don't see anything happening. People don't want to do that stuff. No one wants to kill another person. No one wants to be out there shooting, especially Africans. They're the most pissed people in the world. The only thing that makes people start acting like animals, it's because of the environment around us. African governments, please, think of the diaspora. Include the diaspora in what you do. Let's make sure that every African presidential office, within that presidential office is a diaspora office. Before you start going to ask for money from China, from where, consider the diaspora. If you say your home is calling, and we can see the projects, have a plan, sit down and plan. Most of these people don't even have a time to plan. Because we are so used to poverty. Poverty has been it's like a norm. That's the problem. We're not realizing that this is wrong. So when these people become president, they don't even think about how they're going to change that country, because they just think that's normal. Everyone, suffering is normal. It's an African thing. No, it's not. No one wants to suffer. We need to stop crying to going crying to the UN, oh, help us. They're not going to help us. The UN is funded by the same people that are out there abusing our people. Are you going to expect the American government to love Africa when they don't even love their own the blacks in America? Same thing with the English. Same thing with the Italians. How are you going to expect them to love it? You know, the European Union, how are you going to expect them to love it? The people that can save Africa is only Africans. It's black people. We ask the diaspora. Every country in Africa has a huge diaspora. Zimbabwe, they say it's a $9 billion economy. All my friends who are Zimbabweans have high-paying jobs. And they're everywhere around this world. If the government right now came up and said, you know what, we have our land and we're going to take advantage of this African free trade. No, we can't trade with the rest of the world. Stuff them. We're going to trade with our partners in Africa. And it goes back to being the food basket of Africa that it used to be. The economy is going to revamp. You're going to revamp easily. It's going to bounce back. It's already bouncing back because they had rains last year. The Zimbabweans are resilient people. We need to start looking into us first before we go outside. And silencing the guns is not, the guns ain't gonna get silenced until people see progress. So this is what I'm gonna say. African countries talk to the diaspora. That's where the money is. The money is not in China, the money is not in Europe. The money is in your diaspora. Secondly, when something is discovered, gold, iron ore, gas, minerals, all that stuff, before people start digging, ask for a huge investment into the communities. It's working in Botswana. And then that's how you're going to silence the guns. The UN in Congo, they are the same UN trucks are stealing gold and shipping it. So they're there, they're getting rich while the Congolese are suffering. So how are you going to rely on these people? Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I hope I made some points here that most of you are going to see that they make sense or agree with. If you don't agree with, please, this platform, I want people to be talking. If you don't agree with, let me know. If you do, let me know too. But please share this video and subscribe. But just remember, 400,000 diasporans each donating $1,000 a year, not even a month, $1,000 a year. If you live abroad and you can't come up with $1,000 in a year, then maybe you should go back to Africa. $1,000 every year. That country would be getting about $40 billion. That's how much money Zimbabwe can get, which is 4 times its economy. Imagine the changes that can happen in that country. If we want to fight poverty, if we want to go to war as diasporans, like our ancestors did and went to war, fought for the independence, it's our time now to invest back home. And what we need are these governments to start making us part of that progress of us coming out of this darkness. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you got a point or two from what I'm saying. Thank you.